We are back on the windswept sands of Arrakis for part 4 of our Dune Awakening survival journey completely alone. Big things to do today. We're going to be moving further north, upgrading all our gear, and seeing what ordeals await us in Ep.4. Let's go. Before we get started with the move, I did a quick farming run to stock up on steel, as we used most of it to craft our stillsuit and buggy last time. The buggy is honestly stupidly good for farming, and whilst we were in Al Sharq, I headed up to the 6th Trial of Aql, finding the shrine destroyed. I did manage to grab a spit dart rifle though, making a nice upgrade for the time being. I also popped over to the Rift quickly to grab some Atredies tags for Anton Tolliver, getting us a bit more reputation amongst the Atredies and another quest lined up for later. After setting a bunch of steel to craft, it was time to make that move north. We'll build the core of the base first, basically just a safe box, and then we'll move everything over and work on expanding the base out further to the design I have in mind. Quick tip as well, I recommend building your subfief, then placing 2 foundations atop each other, destroying and replacing the subfief. You get a bit more headroom on your build, as some of the box, if you just place it on the ground, ends up underground by default, which is just wasted space. We threw up a quick shoebox, nothing that pretty, just a basic house to park inside and store stuff whilst we move, and now it's time to do Arrakis U-Haul Simulator and move all of our gear over here. Well, an hour later, everything is moved to the new base, and the old base is completely deconstructed. Once we were safely at our new residence, I took about 20 minutes or so to pretty it up, add a bit more space and design, but this is far from the final form. I do have kind of a vision in mind for this base, but I kind of need to get the Atredies or Harkonnen build sets first, but when they're unlocked we can augment and adjust as necessary. For now though, we've built this nice base, but unfortunately we are still not safe. As we use an advanced subfief, we now have to pay tax.
Alright mate, Stephen with Carino Taxes Incorporated. Have you paid your fees to the Emperor yet?
No?
Oh? Best get yourself to a tax office, ain't you?
What if I don't?
You don't want to know.
To keep the taxman from my door, I travelled and docked at Arrakeen, where we had to go and give the Emperor his share of my salari. Not too bad this time around, to be fair, leaving me with a nice bit of coin I could do some shopping with. 160k? I'm so broke. Well, we're certainly not getting the Harkonnen build set right now. I picked up the Harkonnen lights and a swatch for ground vehicles and light armour. I was tempted to get the sandbike variant, but we're being financially responsible, so we'll grab it later when we have more Solari to work with. I really don't want to buy it and just end up flat broke. I also picked up the advanced training quests for the Mentat and the Trooper, and after having a good mooch around Arrakeen, it was time to return back to Haga Basin. Upon landing back at the Anvil, I continued the Mentat Advanced Training quest by interrogating the Mobula gang member here, and then interrogating his friend at Riftwatch. This led me to a camp called The Sweep, not far from home, which is also where I need to go for the Trooper, so 2 birds, 1 stone. I popped back home, threw down some new lights, and headed back out to The Sweep to progress both of the trainer quests. The Sweep is a pretty large camp packed with enemies. Fortunately, our spit dart rifle is the perfect option, letting us pick off enemies from the nearby mountains. Halfway through, I was ready to charge into the waiting horde of enemies outside, and then some other NPCs showed up to fight the good fight for me. After they were nicely softened up, I cleared out the rest of the camp, grabbed the necessary pieces for both contracts, and headed up to Chattel Passage to continue the Mentat quest. With the Mobula camp sabotaged and the films acquired, we simply have to return to Arrakeen, but that's a task for another day. Instead, we're actually going to head north from here and finish the 7th Trial of Aql. After diving into the gaping depths of the rift, we found the cave for the 7th trial, ready for yet another bad spice trip, but only after we'd fought off the few measly miscreants inside. It seems this test was sponsored by Go Outdoors, as it was all about camping. This strange sandy woman kept trying to sell me on the benefits of this still tent, and in the end I had to say, "Listen here love, I've just built a fancy house, and my back can't handle any of that camping malarkey." However, she just kept pitching the sale, and to be fair, the winds were pretty harsh, so after a 25% off coupon and the promise of a 3-year warranty guarantee, I gave in and I got myself a still tent. With that complete, we had actually unlocked the final Trial of Aql, which we'll be taking soon enough. Before that though, there was one more place I wanted to stop off at. Helios Gate, the headquarters of House Atredies, high up on the eastern shield wall, above even the roaming Sardaukar ships. We're here for one reason, and, well, one reason only, to check out what the traders got. I'm going to spend so much money. There's a Bene Gesserit teacher here, but she can't teach me any more than I already know, and instead pointed me to Harco Village to find Jocasta Cleo. I did also go to the Pinnacle trade station on the way here too, and picked up the Swordsmaster intro quest, which we'll do at some point soon. After chugging a much needed cup of water from the trader, it was time to go home, and it seemed there was only one suitable way. Whilst I was goofing around up on the shield wall, I did actually lay my hands on some aluminium. We don't have a ton of the stuff, but it might let us skip a couple of steel tier upgrades in the future. Back at home, after cooking up some steel, I crafted a new tier 3 sandbike. The copper one was frankly old and tired, so got retired, and now we can zip around on a fresh new bike that is faster and a lot more nimble than the last one. I also upgraded my cutter ray to Mark III while I was here. However, now we're going to be cozying up to the Atredies again by completing their next task to infiltrate an Atredies deserter camp in the Rift and analyse their blood for a strange sickness. Unfortunately, just after clearing the first group, I realised something. I had actually forgotten my blood extractor. Not really feeling the journey back home again, I decided to try and scrape one together from the scraps in the base. I found the salvaged metal pretty easily, but the plant fibre was kind of a problem. Halfway through the camp, I grabbed an ID badge, stumbled upon a refinery containing some spice sand and residue, alongside a unique schematic in the main chest, ray amps, and complex machinery, the last of which I was quite low on. All great, but I was still low on plant fibre. Take note, if you're doing this quest, do not forget your extractor and bags. The nearest place where I knew I could get plant fibre? The bottom of the rift, of course. After scouring the valley floor, I finally laid my hands on some plant fibre. After then pulling my sorry self back up from the bowels of the rift, we got back to the spiral and gathered the blood after killing the enemies. Again, I took 5,000 millilitres, analysed it, and then took it back to Anton. I'm keeping the blood extractor, by the way. Anton divulged that he was looking for a friend, but he was still a bit scant on details. Instead, he asked me to take on an eco-lab full of Harkonnen deserters in, of course, the Rift. As a reward though, he'd give me a house spit dart rifle, and to be fair, that's all I needed to hear. Back to the Rift we go. In the depths of this dark ravine, I found the eco-lab buried inside a cavern. The vibes here were certainly very strange, the lab bathed in an eerie blue-white glow, and strange mechanical sounds leaking through the ancient stone. Admittedly, at this point this testing station wasn't too difficult, probably on par with testing station 10 from the last episode, but obviously we've had some upgrades since then. Nevertheless, it was still pretty fun. I really like the testing stations in general. Dune's pretty immersive as it is, but these dungeons are the apex of that. I think they're pretty good. Once more, it was back to the anvil to give the Harkonnen surveillance report over to Anton, and most importantly, get my brand new spit dart rifle. I'm pretty sure this rifle is actually a tier above my current one. It's a huge damage improvement over the previous spit dart, and Anton gave me another quest. Where did he want me to go? The Rift, of course. However, that's enough rifting around for me today. We've got Anton's next quest, advanced trainers to talk to, and, of course, the final Trial of Aql to complete. All of that, however, is for next time. As daylight crawls over Arrakis again, it sees in its passing a day of serious progress. A new base, taxes paid, trials completed, quests finished off, and yet still plenty to be done. Next time we continue to climb the ranks of the Atredies, collect as many Solari as possible to pay for my crippling cosmetic addiction, and finish the very final Trial of Aql. And of course, we'll be doing it all completely solo. Thanks for watching, and a massive thanks to our wonderful, esteemed coffee cultists for continuing to support the channel over on Patreon. If you want to get the next episode and more videos right now, alongside wallpapers and other perks, check the Patreon link in the description to support the channel directly. Take care, and I'll see you soon.